Hello to my fellow mortgage broker community. My name is Marc Summers. I'm the president of AIME and want to welcome you to our weekly sales meeting. Now, the topic I want to discuss today is expectations and setting proper expectations because I think it's arguably one of the most important things that we can do. Now, when I think of expectations, I think of reputation. And for my business, and I'm sure for most of yours, we don't have the big marketing dollars, so our reputation is the best thing that we can live off of. That truly, in my eyes, is the best marketing out there, is your reputation. And what I want to do today is kind of go over we'll call it three different sources that are involved in the process of the loan and with the consumer, along with three tips that I would love to give you. But first, the borrowers, okay? Obviously, they're the most important. They're the most important people that you can set expectations with. I've always said, hey, as long as my borrowers are happy, the rest will fall into place. So what I mean by that is this, is with your borrower, this is an emotional decision for a lot of people. They're either buying a bigger house or they're refinancing again with this low rate environment. And what we have to understand is this, is that it's really emotional and we got to do our best to control our clients' emotions and help them with their emotions, all right? So when I say we have to set proper expectations, if a client says, especially right now, how long is this going to take? I want you to sit back and ask yourself, how do you answer that? Now, personally, how I answer that is I said, hey, listen, at the end of the day, there's a lot of different factors here and I don't want to back myself into a corner. But, I've got them done pretty fast, but, let's just say we're on a 22 to 25 day time frame. Now, the reason why I do this as well is because I am setting myself up for success here. And I am under promising and then I'm hoping to over deliver, which I should be able to do with certain situations. But we have to continue to set these expectations because I look at it as buying a car. If you go buy a car and you say, hey, when can I get the car? And the salesman says 2 days, and it doesn't show up till the third, you're upset, you're let down. But if that car salesman says, hey, it's going to be here in let's say 5 days, and it comes on the second or even third day or even the fourth day, it's now you just set yourself up for success. And now it's a success. Now I look at my car salesman as, oh my God, he did a great job. He got it in a day early, when there's just something that may have just been a little off. And he looks good now. And that's what I want us to do, is I want us to look extremely good in front of our consumers, because if you set the proper expectations, and I like to say under promise, and I can't stress this enough, under promise and over deliver. Now, it may not be 22 days. You may look at a file and say, this is going to be tough. I'm going to have to kind of go a little bit longer on this one. Just what I'm trying to say here is set the proper expectations. All right. Next, what I want to talk to you about is realtors and referral partners. Now, this may lean a little bit more on realtors, which is absolutely fine. But, realtors is the lifeblood of a lot of us as well. We get great referral sources from them. So what I want to express to you is this, is I don't give the realtors too much information. I give them information that they need to know, that's going to be helpful to them. But I don't ever say, for example, on a 30-day contract on day 12, I say, hey, I'm gonna have a CTC tomorrow. Listen, what's going to happen here is they're going to call their borrower. The borrower's going to start ordering U-Haul trucks. The realtor's going to start setting up closings. Just don't do it. So what I always like to do is, hey, we're still on pace. We're in a good spot. I'll let you know as soon as I have the CTC. And once we have that CTC, we can schedule a closing, okay? So that's what I do, because as I used in my previous example of a car salesman, that realtor, that borrower sitting back going, okay, end of the month, maybe I got another 2 weeks until we're going to close. And then bam, you hit them with great news. You are now the hero in this situation instead of backing yourself into a corner. So make sure you set the proper expectations with them as well. Lastly, I want to talk about your employees or support staff. Set the proper expectations with them as well. Let them know that, hey, we have to understand that, I like to say the first 48 hours of getting a borrower to commit to you is the most important 48 hours, because they're jazzed up. Like I've said before, this is probably going to be the biggest financial decision that they make. And they're excited because look at rates right now. I'm seeing rates in the 2s. I'm seeing cash outs in the low 3s. It's crazy out there right now. And people are thinking this is a once in a lifetime opportunity and they don't want to miss the boat. So you're going to need your staff to support you in the message that you're sending out, along with letting your staff know, hey, my expectations right now, it's almost like turn times. My expectation is, hey, within 48 hours, I want docs, I want everything submitted, or whatever the turn times in your office and what expectations you set are going to be. Just make sure that those expectations are set properly with your support staff as well. Okay. Now, 3 tips that I'm kind of seeing a lot of lately, and I just want to get across to everyone. First off, everyone's doing a great job out there. Everyone's working hard. Volume is crazy. Everyone's enhancing their business. Everyone's building their book of business, hopefully for long term. And it's great. And I love seeing that. And I'm the type of guy that's a glass half full. So the success stories are great and continue to focus on those. But there's 3 tips that I want to give that I think can help you with even more success, which is number 1, and I see it, don't schedule a closing unless you have a CTC. Okay. I'm seeing too many emails. I get contacted by too many people. And trust me, I understand that there's times where, hey, this was a one-off situation, something popped up. But listen, at the end of the day, don't schedule a closing unless you have a CTC. It's alarming to me, but at the same time, I know there's these one-offs where I will receive an email that says, hey, I have a closing scheduled tomorrow at 2 p.m. and I can't get this last condition cleared. Can you help me? You're setting yourself up for failure right there. And I'm just expressing to you that don't do this. If any way possible, don't schedule a closing unless you have a CTC. Next, listen, a lot of our lenders out there are coming out with great programs, different types of programs with different parameters on them. Now, you have to set yourself up and you got to give yourself good expectations as well. So for some of these programs out there, what I'm personally doing, because as I've said before, I'm a mortgage broker as well, still writing loans, is I am not locking any loan until I get conditions back. I personally right now it's our job to kind of watch the market, and maybe if it's spiraling out of control in a bad way and rates are on the rise, maybe that's when you lock it. And then, okay, I got a job to do here, but the market's been somewhat steady, if not getting better. Okay, so I don't lock any loan until I use my experience and gauge, okay, I'm only going to need 15 days to lock this. I'm only going to need 18 days to lock this. You know what I mean? And then I'm going to be set. I highly suggest you set yourself up with proper expectations and don't back yourself into a corner. So if you are setting unrealistic expectations, you're backing yourself into a corner, and that's why you stay up late at night. You're worried about your borrower. You're worried about how am I going to get this closed? Who can I call for a favor? Listen, there's too many times within this industry that we make this job a lot harder when it doesn't have to be. We are the experts. We are the leaders in this industry. Use your calming presence, and I'm telling you, just move forward with everything. And if you set the proper expectations, you won't have these issues. And actually, you'll probably enjoy your job a lot more. Okay? I love my job, but I always are looking to enjoy it a little bit more. Last, ask questions. Ask questions in every aspect with your consumer, because you'll be able to use that information to combat maybe some expectations that you need to make sure they're in check with. And there's others where it will give you a buffer. So just make sure you're asking questions, because you'll understand your borrower more, their anxiety, if they have any, where they're coming from. It's a relief when I have borrowers say, "I'll just, take your time on it." Now I know that I'm going to really surprise that borrower and give them great news. And my job is to try to be the hero throughout this entire process. So at the end of the day, I'm sure that some of this stuff was, we'll call it elementary, but listen, sometimes we got to go back to basics. I'm sure that some of you guys even have your own tips and tricks. And, throughout this, on our weekly sales meeting, please comment on this, because I love to hear and I love to get myself better. And I love for the community to make the whole community better by just comments, and let us know maybe some tricks that you do. So I'd love to see some posts down below. Okay. So thank you for listening to me. And what I'm going to do, Renee Rodriguez is up next. He always has a phenomenal segment. So if you can, Renee, take it away.
Hey there, everyone. I want you to imagine for a minute that somebody hands you a soda. It's your favorite soda. Maybe it's a Sprite or it's a Coke. And the moment you take a sip of it, you realize that it's milk. And the shock and the surprise and moments of disgust and just pure horror. And then you realize this is something that you know, and then you realize you're okay. Now, did you feel that way because it was milk? Or did you feel that way because you were expecting something else? Well, it was because you were expecting something else. Expectations are one of the most critical things that we have to be able to manage in the sales process. And so what I wanted to give you here today was a script that I actually created back in the financial crisis when loans were going haywire. And we re-looked at it because we know that there's still a lot of crisis going on in terms of managing pipelines and being able to manage demand and all sorts of things. And so being able to manage expectations is critical. And so this script, you'll be able to get a copy of this download. I'll make sure that everybody here has it for you to be able to get. but it's a good one. It's intense. Now, when you first look at it, you say, wow, it's 2.5 pages. Well, when you read 2.5 pages, it's only a couple minutes of conversation. But if I were to document and transcribe some of your rants or some of your mindless communications, you'd be on 18 to 30 pages of just text. So this is a very guided conversation, and I want you to understand it takes a sophisticated sales professional to understand that we do need a roadmap to be able to manage this. Now, what's really cool about this script is that it accomplishes 4 big things for you. Number 1 is it helps differentiate who you are. It's going to talk about how other typical challenges are in the marketplace and what yours is. It's also going to tee you up, number 2, for referrals. Everybody talks about referrals, but so few people actually ask for them. And so this is going to guide you through a very simple process to be able to do that. It's also going to help you get more positive reviews. Transparency isn't an option. And so you have to be able to tee up the customer to make sure that they know that they're going to be given a chance to review you. But finally, this helps manage and level set expectations. And so I have this broken down into elements, and I just want to read it to you so that you can read it along. The first part is what we call the opening. Very, very simple. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I want to tell you how excited I am. Oh, before we start, this is for after the application or whatever you consider an application. Some people call that locking a loan. But after you've taken this application, most people just go to work on the loan. This is the time to set that expectation. So as soon as you have that commitment, they've signed the documents or whatever, they're committed to you, make sure that you have the script handy. So Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I want to tell you that I'm so excited about being able to help you and guide you through this process. Now, as we move forward, there are a few things that we need to be on the same page about in order to ensure that we reach your goals to get you this loan. Now, it's critical that we make it about their goal. This is reminding them that we've just started the process. We're not there yet, and there's some things that need to happen for us to get there. And so this next piece, we go into the first frame. And the frame helps people understand what's happening and what's about to happen so we can manage the expectation about this next event. And so it goes into this. I'm sure you've been watching the news and seeing how low interest rates are, resulting in what's really become one of the biggest refi booms in history, if not the biggest. As a result, some mortgage companies are experiencing huge delays because they don't have the systems to be able to meet demand. The reality is most of those stories are true, but they don't have to be true for us. That's a critical statement. Remember saying those are true, but they don't have to be true for us. That's really saying if we do a few things. You're creating leverage and making sure that we have to have a partnership here. I say that because oftentimes the communication between the loan officer and borrowers is poor at best. Promises are made that can't be kept. Expectations are set that aren't realistic, and appropriate time isn't allocated to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So that's your frame. We move into the next section, which is your differentiator. It's very short. That's why here at Insert Your Company Name, we are held accountable to what we call responsible lending, a promise that has kept us strong while others have failed. So you can call it responsible lending. You can call it whatever if you have a proprietary process that you work with, but give it something. And I would urge you to find a branded name for what you want to call the experience, the so-and-so way or whatever it is that you want to use for your company, but find that branded piece. And then we move into the tie down. The tie down is what it means to them. And so you just went into responsible lending and a promise that's kept you going strong while others have failed. And I share this with you to illustrate the importance of us working together throughout the process. My job is in essence very similar to that of an airline pilot, to get you from point A to point B safely and on time. It may be bumpy at times, or there may be some unexpected turbulence, but my commitment to you is to get you to your goal. And here we begin to tee up the referral. I'm also committed to making this process as enjoyable as possible for you so that I may earn the title of your trusted advisor and referrals for your friends and family. So now, it's a soft tee up, nothing real big. And so when I tee that up, I like to go into what's called the referral value proposition frame. And so this sets up the value because a lot of people resist asking for referrals because they feel like they haven't earned it yet. And so here we're setting up an expectation of here's what I'm going to do, here's what I'd like from you. So it goes like this. Given all the complexities and changes with today's lending guidelines, which is very true, I will be spending the majority of our time or my time overseeing the process and making sure that the underwriters have everything they need to move forward. Now, a lot of people make the mistake of not sharing how much is involved in getting a loan. All they see is people get big commissions and they get big paydays, but do they really realize just how much you guys have to manage and how important it is that communication is up? So this is critical that you pointed out. Unfortunately, that doesn't leave me much time to seek out new relationships, which is why I focus so intently on servicing my clients. I have found that by putting my efforts into making sure that this is a smooth and enjoyable process for my clients, that they in return help me by referring their friends and family to me. And this next phrase is critical. It's because you just said, if I do this, you do this, but here's the cool part. You say, and I know as well as anyone that the gift of a referral has to be earned, and I'm committed to doing just that. So that lets them know that your job isn't done either, that you are in this game to be able to serve. You haven't earned the tip, you haven't earned the referral, but you're ready to do that. We move into the soft ask. The next piece goes, so if someone does come to mind that I might be able to serve, I would be honored to help them in any way I can. Now we go back to framing up positive reviews now. So we're soft asking because we're not fully asking for it yet. We go into this next piece, because if you give too much of an ask right away, you're giving somebody the ability to say no to you. But if you're teeing things up as you go while adding value in the process, it just keeps the conversation going. So in today's world, transparency isn't a choice. And like most services, you will be given the opportunity to rate this experience. I want you to know that we are committed to giving you 5-star service throughout the entire process. So if at any time you feel like you're not getting this 5-star service, I ask that you please let me know immediately so that I may remedy the situation. So think about what you've just done there. No process is perfect. And if something goes wrong and they don't have the channel to communicate to you, they're going to find their own channel online and they're going to type it up and they're going to tell the world about how horrible your process was. So it's critical that you open up that dialogue here for them. If something goes wrong, that they come straight to you. And you can do that under the frame of commitment to give a 5-star experience. And if they know that they have that avenue to talk to you, they're going to be very apt to come use that when they need it. And you're then given the opportunity to fix it. So now we're going to transition to the last part of the turbulence script, which is really setting the bar. And so you end with, so I may remedy the situation. And just like any airline flight, there's bound to be some turbulence during the process. And when turbulence is unexpected, it can be scary and cause stress. But if the pilot has prepared the passengers ahead of time, the turbulence really goes mostly unnoticed. So as we begin our journey together, there may be some kind of turbulence. But my job is to foresee those rough spots as much as possible ahead of time to avoid them. But, sometimes they do come unexpectedly. Now, this is where you frame the team value proposition. It's more than just you. The good news is that I have been doing this for a long time, and I have a great flight crew that knows exactly how to handle almost every type of turbulence. And so this last part here is an agreement to communicate. And so you end with, I just want to make sure that if for some reason we need to make adjustments or need additional documentation, that you will make yourselves available to provide me with that information so we can work together to reach your goals. Does that sound like a good plan? And so what's happening here is that we know that from time to time, maybe something was missed. You have to call back the client. And when we have set the expectation that this is going to be a smooth process and nothing's ever going to go wrong, and you have to call them back and ask for new documents, that's where problems arise. And so here you're saying, if for some reason we need to do something, I just need your commitment that you're going to be there with me and be part of this team. And they say, yep, absolutely, because you have that commitment and connection with them. If you have something to end with, which means your strongest value proposition, or if you have some sort of guarantee, after you say that sounds like a good plan, they can go, that sounds great. And you can say, what really makes us different though, is that, and then add your value proposition, or that we guarantee X, whatever it is at that point. So think about all those different things you just did if you do that script. You've differentiated yourself. You've teed up to get referrals. You've soft asked and you've actually asked. You've also set yourself up to get higher and more positive reviews, and you've managed expectations. Here's what a best practice is and what most of my clients do that are closing a lot of loans. First time I gave this to one of my clients, he took this and called every single loan in process and just read the script to him. He generated 17 referrals in 4 hours just by reading the script. And so I promise you, this does work. And here's the thing about scripting. You're going to suck at it at first. You're going to read it. You're probably going to sound scripted. And the mistake a lot of people make, they say they won't read it until they don't sound scripted. Well, guess what? You have to read it, mess it up, and do it a bunch of times so that it actually becomes something that you are. So learn the script as is before you try to make changes to it. Once you learn it, make it your own, make your adjustments, and please come back and share what it looks like for you. So I hope you take this. You're going to make sure that we gave you the script so you can follow along. And as we ask every single week, how productive were you this week? Do you have a positive number to put in your accountability box? Or are you going to tell us a story, because we know we don't like stories. So again, thank you, and please join us every week for the sales meeting. Back to you, Philly.
Thanks, Renee. You and Mark both hit on some excellent advice today, focusing on setting expectations, being clear, being concise with your consumers up front is going to allow the loan process to be as smooth as possible throughout the entire experience with you and your consumer. It's also the only way that you can keep your pipeline moving when everyone is trying to handle record volume right now. So focus on setting the expectations first so that you can provide the experience that we know you can to your consumer second. With that, we also are focusing on expectations of our own. We realize that there are so many new members in our community. We're making a bigger impact within the industry, and we want to make sure everyone is very clear on what our expectations are and what you can expect from us. So, our vision for the future is very clear. We're here to protect, support, and grow the broker community, and we are on a mission to hit 25% market share in the year 2021. So, we're focused on that. We want to help provide you with as many resources as possible. Please let us know what we can do to help you so that you can better serve your community. We have a very clear focus here, and we hope that you're willing to join us on that journey. We have a big milestone announcement this week, HomeBot. We talked last week about Lead Pops hitting 500 new members. This week, we're focusing on HomeBot. They also just hit 500 new members since our partnership began earlier this year. With 500 new brokers using their service, they've served over 150,000 consumers. Think about that. That is a massive number of consumers that are able to access information about their home, understand their refinance opportunities, learn more about the mortgage experience, and understand how their home plays a role in their overall financial wealth throughout the course of their lifetime. If you're not using HomeBot, there's a lot of brokers within our community that absolutely love them. Enrique, Barb, Scott, I'm sure any of them would be willing to answer any of your questions. We're seeing people regularly pull 5, 10, 15 deals a month off of HomeBot. If you get one deal for the year from this service, you've paid for it for the entire year. So it really is a no-brainer. If you're not using it, take advantage of it. We just saw numbers earlier this week. There are over 15 million home buyers in the United States right now that can benefit from a refinance. Let HomeBot do that work for you so that you can focus on the active loans that are in your pipeline. Broker to Broker podcast this week, we've got Peter Galvez from United Wholesale Lending out in Northern California. He's talking about clear communication, falls in line with our entire theme this week of setting expectations up front. If you haven't checked that out yet, definitely take a look. Our webinar this week is with our Brokers Are Better partner, AIME. If you haven't heard of them, they create very professional looking videos, social content. Their websites are spectacular. Karina Carter uses them. Ryan O'Kane is a big fan of them. Evan Wade is using their services. If you've seen any of the videos that are running on social media for any of those three, a lot of that is coming from AIME. It's content that they've worked on putting together. Daniel Probert is going to be giving us all the advice that we need on creating social content and creating video content that looks really professional, that's reusable, things that you can use not just today, but over the course of the next 12 to 18 months. Our last big announcement of the day, WMN. If you don't know what that is, it's our Women's Mortgage Network. It is our female-focused group that talks about all things mortgage, industry-specific topics, how we handle day-to-day, how to be a female leader within the industry. If you're not in that group and you are a woman in the mortgage industry focused on the wholesale channel, definitely join us. Our goal is to hit 2,000 members before the year is over. We already passed 1,000. We're well on our way. If you're not a part of that group, definitely join us. If you are a part of that group, make sure that you're inviting anybody that you know that would benefit from that community. It's very active. It's an extension of Brokers Are Better. So we want to make sure that all the women within the space also have an outlet and a place to talk amongst themselves, to talk with us, and to really focus on how we can make an impact in the industry moving forward. That's all we have for this week. Have a great week. Get out there. Make sure that you're setting expectations very clearly up front. Keep crushing it. August is already off to an amazing start. Excited to see what you guys can do over the next 30 days.